Meio-dia 50 de sábado. Vai buscar aqui a casa. Continua esta ofensa diária. Isto é uma acusação formal de tortura com visando o homicídio para expoliação e extermínio da minha família. Todo fodido, dores de estômago, dores de corte com dores de cabeça, e o caralho que vocês entraram cá outra vez. Tenho o sadismo, como sempre, na minha mala de documentos, deixa lá um parafuso dentro. Hã? Vocês não roubaram aí o documento já do miúdo morto ou paralisado nas vossas fantasias? Uma acusação contra este regime de filhos da puta, de assassinos, caralho. Vejam alguém do assassino, está o filho da puta. Estes como criminosos são crimes pela lei, portanto alguém que vos prende, filho da puta, desse primeiro-ministro e desse presidente, e de seja quem for necessário da Assembleia da República. Eu não ontem estava aí o da Chega, ou antes de ontem nos interstícios, a falar de que as evidências até detectadas ou elaboradas pelo Tribunal relativamente a esse do MAI, que apontavam crimes, e que ia abrir uma comissão parlamentar. Vocês são os provocadores, terroristas de Estado, filho da puta. Mais comissões parlamentares, já lhe disse, há problemas de crimes, isso há proteção de crimes e controles criminosos. Uma pessoa de bem neste país vai à Procuradoria-Geral da República, como eu tentei ir em 2007, e nunca teve resposta. Não sei o arquivamento banhoso e criminoso pelo IAP, como bem sabeis, os vossos parlamentares. Nem que lá cheguem e só saem da Procuradoria-Geral da República quando eles se saberem e aceitarem a queixa dos conformes, filho da puta de nazi, de assassino, palhaço, assassino! Como assassinos, ladrões e assassinos da minha criança, seu filho da puta, torturadores clavagistas, ladrãozecos. Está aí o seguro hoje também. Explique-me lá, ó filho da puta. Você não explica nada a ninguém, você é um criminoso descarado como todos os outros. Uma fotografia, vê-se uma câmara com uma luzinha vermelha atrás, no enquadramento ao longe. Qual é a metafísica poética do vosso crime, ó filho da puta? O círculo vermelho, não sei de quê. Hã? A dizer da fiscalização preventiva das contas. Foi uma coisa que eu exigi. Não há Tribunal de Contas, não havia. Não é o pai do Anselmo Rodrigues, não é o pai do Ferro Rodrigues. Andas a brincar com quem? Ó filho da puta de assassino, torturador e ladrão como todos! Nós temos de minha acusação que eu lhe primo, caralho. Há aqui tudo, como podem ver, as coleções de revistas, vi-as todas, até ontem estou com dificuldade em ver isto. Não encontro, vocês roubaram a do Caior, de França, dos encontros de fotografia, onde está a história do SNUV, que é uma história que foi posta em cena no Japão. Quem é que é o Cabral? Que anda a proteger estas relações e estes interesses. Da puta, dos assassinos terroristas do Estado do PSD. Essa metáfora da rã de escorpião. Está ali uma motinha elétrica na Capitão Paulo, onde vocês agora meteram aquela escadinha pós-modernista, com cunhas e cunhas inclinadas, e crentes que estão lá parados há não sei quanto tempo, ou tiveram durante não sei quantos meses. Quem é que paga? É o Ministro dos Negócios Estrangeiros. Ó filho da puta. Sempre este forró-bodó e outra vez a encenação das fitas, do meu arquivo, e mais não sei quê, do BES, e tem os Alzheimers e não sei quê. Ali uma motinha parada, não estava o rapaz, acho que é o rapaz, assim com umas caixinhas, não sei, metal, parece, sabe o quê, cofres de escritório, assim, pai, grandes, 30, 40 centímetros, cinzento, ou baterias, o quê. Tem lá um escorpião na parte de trás. E no outro dia estava uma rapariga que devia ser brasileira, quando vocês agora mataram aí, não é? No Brasil. Um acidente de portugueses também mortos na Suíça, não é? Não andam para aí uns suíços, andam aqui os suíços no prédio há não sei quantos anos, não. Curioso que vós sois. Depois me terem mostrado aí o taxista, um outro carro, não sei o quê, em Valpácio, não sei o quê, imigrantes e tá. Foda-se. Tem um escorpião na bagageira atrás dessa motinha, e depois tem lá Vortex, que é um tema do Japão. Como sabeis, estava lá uma senhora assim a olhar assim, como mostrar que estava ali um Vortex escrito. Quem que é? Esse jornalista que vos serve e que serve o grupo dos assassinos do Balsemão e companhia. e do Marcelo e companhia, vocês são todos assassinos, são esterco sobre-humano, filho da puta, torturador, nazi, ladrão, zeco, cabrão. O terrorismo de Estado nazi de Portugal é esta, vocês continuam a entrar de dia, de noite, quando eu saio de casa, metem-me nas malas que vocês acedem todos os dias e roubam dinheiro. Onde é que estão o resto do dinheiro? Depois metem-me uma nota de vídeo e depois refletem-me aí com uma história de uns filmes americanos e o caralho. Onde vos dei conta? Parece que a América sabe destas coisas mais do que vocês. Como é que seria possível, filho da puta, para além de assassinos, sois cegos? Esta história da falta de água há mais de 180 e tal dias tem a ver com estas formas de mecanismo de tortura e de homicídio, filho da puta. Vocês entram aqui pelas noites para mudar as coisas, para fazer tortura e dores, para poderem continuar a roubar até dinheiro, filho da puta. Escolha sobre-humana, filha da puta. Assassina! Esforço e posição de vidas por lei sobre o meu filho, a situação da minha família, quero o meu seguro de saúde, que vocês roubaram, quero a minha carta de condução a funcionar, quero o meu bilhete de identidade legal e quero o meu passaporte legal, filho da puta! Nasci! Assassino, vocês têm todos os acordos por baixo da mesa, chegam ao poder, fazem a mesma merda, comportamento de terrorismo e de assassinos. Chega a ser aqui da alteração da fórmula de cálculo das pensões, então há déficit, e vocês falam de alteração das coisas abstratamente, nas vossas mentiras, que todos vós participais para esconder os vossos crimes de roubo do erário público, filho da puta. Razão para mandar prender ao caralho. Vou-vos tornar a lembrar o filho da puta de assassino nazi, meu filho. Eu fui à Procuradoria, não aceitaram a queixa, deixaram-me para apresentar na Polícia de Segurança Pública, na esquadra que se chamava 24 ali em Campo de Rica, que está em cena desde o tempo da chegada da Mónica e da Misé de Nova Iorque. Sabeis? Eu esquecido, filho da puta. É por essa razão que alguém mudou no Estado a esquadra 24 agora como sendo a esquadra do rato, onde eu apresentei a queixa. Essa queixa transitou para o diabo e foi arquivada em forma criminosa, como eu vos fiz prova, como sempre, ainda por cima, na vossa ofensa contra todas as leis, com aspectos enigmáticos, narrativos, no mínimo e nos melhores dos entendimentos possíveis, sobre este crime há 20 anos, e vocês a tentarem passar a imagem que isto é uma brincadeira e uma palhaçada, seus criminosos assassinos e ladrões. This to Japan, this photo zoom or photo review from my collections here, with this new image from the Encontre de photographie à Cahors à France, je l'ai publié. Donc si vous avez le désir de comprendre comment vous avez tué, quelqu'un d'autre a tué 20 000 personnes au Japon, vous trouverez un exemplaire équivalent parce qu'il a des autres valeurs en plus qui sont mises en scène dans cette nouvelle ordre de post-9-11, comme vous bien savez, dans cette précis issue. I have found the photo that was not glue, but in the rest of the photos on the box of photos, a small one from the print houses, normally with Fuji or whatever. Of Cristina Coutinho, of her table and chair on my house where she lives with me in the beginning of 90s. This photo that I have published yesterday on the blog, I will comment, I suppose is forgery already, but you can see the pots of ink, which is the important aspect. If you compare with the drawings that I've published under attachments of this photo, you notice the difference, and the difference, the catch, also on the other objects that I suppose have a second level that was not there. And this made on purpose, this new level of forgery. Nevertheless, the marquise is my marquise, the floor is my floor, the Japanese blinds are my Japanese blinds, and the pot of inks that was reflected immediately from a feature from Japan, and I also have the care to detail on image because they also sweep from my history for YouTube, at least I did not find it. Are more or less the same, and I suppose it's not visible anymore, a pen or pencil or something in the kind of brush, I suppose. And of course, as you can see, the disposition of the photos, this was the tricky part, to understand what photo she had there, assuming that was a photo opening and the message prepared on this enigma. Then there's a new degree of forgery concerning this photo, above the details that are real and correspond to the reality of my house. Fuckers. After all these decades, this Portuguese Nazi state still going on, behavior in these criminal disguises layer by layer to protect what? Flowers or 20,000 deaths. Temp of murder, don't fuck me with projections on spirit or whatever formed mirrors concerning reality. I want my water open is the same process. You have even forgery already, some invoice of EPAL to disguise this crime of torture that aims homicide and expoliation and protection of international crimes, even genocide if proved done by purpose, fucker. I want my open, the water running public water from EPAL, which is an important term and conjunct of facts on this analysis again. Open immediately. I suppose there will be some connection to so much criminal efforts, including changing the invoices here. The thing, it's impossible that these gangsters associations of Portuguese parties, Nazis, that share the power by crimes against the Republic and even killings from the time of Saturday, do not know what is the idea of these men from Anaxis on this Lisbon city, which is blind and still will happen by a vast conjunct of facts during decades concerning even the first tsunami. And you know very well who is this idea by the partial extrapolation by the facts itself. I'm not inventing nothing, fucker. And you know that well, then you are accomplished of them. If you don't deliver, there will be a negative version concerning your crimes of genocide. Just comment what I have already wrote, and perhaps I wrote more lines on these just to put black and white. This figure that appears looking the thorough blame on the clowns, this was the real sky with a full moon here in Lisbon that I have shoot myself with my cameras, my Betacams. I suppose there was a figure visible this when I see the footage. At that time there was no digital possibilities to change this from one moment to another. But I can't be sure without seeing my originals if I still have them. In the sense, as you know, this is a crime veil mounted with including the fall of a bank in Portugal, bears and menace and traffic of all my patrimony that has a value by the auditorium made by England to RTP, as I have said already, not far away again, 1 million of Portuguese old money, which is motives enough to all these crimes in my point of view, for basic thieves as you are all fucking. This figure was there, the figure that is visible looking the Tower of Blame. I suppose this is a constant group or individuals that even can be connected with recent death of Jorge Sampaio. You maintain a completely silence on this. But there are means to understand this. I suppose this is the logical of all these adulterations that you have put on copies of adulterated, all kind of adulterations, narrative, chrominance, luminance, contrasts, editing, and so on, their narrative sense proposals of reading concerning these 3 clips that appears in the page that I'm using with this size to do this work, fuckers, because these are on FTP, the clips original, because they are integrant part and has been aired on the first series of Lusitania Express. And there are other methods of research. If there was an intention of research. There's no intention of research, just mumbo jumbles unveiled of very different crimes for 20 years without any answers by law. This says all about this regime and the Nazi behavior of all these figures. You change charges on power and you maintain the same criminal course against humankind. There are, of course, a lot of content of terrorists, must I presume. Even now, when coming home from the supermarket, oh, he's a nice boy, but grey, or something, a conversation about someone, of course, which means there's always a campaign of descriptivization concerning these sky and clouds and light show things sometimes. There are even a series aired on the videos, amateur videos. I have questioned these and integrated on analysis of Japan, of amateur videos there with other previous earthquakes, where we see some very peculiar singular colors on the sky that I suppose are ionization process signatures, can I say, as I say by right at that time, and I have the care, of course, to ask. Is this true? Why you have in Japan some amateur photographies and videos with image movement just 5 minutes, 50 minutes before a earthquake with these characteristics of color. Don't play tricks with people's fuckers. Crime on the step of extermination and assassination is when you still enter home by night. It's very easy to put on the milk on the frigo, whatever, or change whatever is the food that people have in the house to kill. And you have killed a lot of people by these ways, and you still go on. These are crimes by law. These are not inquiries on the parliament fuckers to blanket responsibilities of accomplices of crimes and genocide. Fucking. This square of accusation terms and arguments concerning the Europe directories. Because you do not answer. You are, like Ursula von Leyen, imply on acts of torture on my mouth, which is a problem, is a vehicle of the maintenance of all these state of torture and pain. And you know it well. And you're never answering during these years. Already how much years I have these moving 2 pieces of this toe here, 3 or 4 already. And the terms of my accession are the same. I want clear answers. Why Curie, as European Criminal Court, do not answer? As why ONU Committee Anti-Torture in Geneva do not answer from 2011 when I sent them an email and I phoned and I recorded these evidences and I've published on my blogs that you have all stolen all to erase, namely these evidences where the Committee of ONU Anti-Torture has disconnected without any reason the phone on my face. Your infamy comes from the time of tsunami, fucker, which means the sum, basic sum that you have interests, and you know from this time who have done these. You do not answer every day. Reinforce this perception of your guilty and criminal gangsters politician agreements at all the levels in Europe, directories to maintain this crime. The crimes normally they let signatures in a simplistic way. Why the first blog's robbery in all was the blog that I was writing to Japan for large years before, even with other subjects, and C Matters that start to be a blog on Tsunami 2005, but very quickly has turned mainly to be a blog on 9/11. Why these 2 blogs were the first ones robber in block, and why, after all these criminal complaints in public mouth, never been answered? What they say after all these years, fuckers? Distractions of the world, it's your goal. By the count, I will try to conclude this. There are crimes on the registers, official entities here, also concerning my patrimony at that time that have precisely values concerning the tsunami 2011 in Japan. I have already all detailed these, and I have detailed on this blog the equivalences, the visual equivalence, namely the mud after the explosion on Fujiyama and the colors of some tragedies here in north of Portugal. These people, though, they have closed the conservatory of register of companies even to disguise this. Why no answers, fucker? On the ink stone, that for me is an equivalence concerning the support of the sword on Belém. I don't know. The true on Japan documentary was very strange, the ambience and so on. Even the glasses have a particular correspondence here. As I have already explained, I will try to put this again on right. But nevertheless, I suppose this is perhaps something that has been done through McCann Erickson, but passing by London, I suppose. It's my intuitive thought at this moment. I can not proceed anymore under these conditions, and I have no means or authority by the state to fight to make an inquiry to understand what is true on this species disposal and what is the possibility of existence of a letter, because this ink has been now complemented by another piece disposal on stilos of Japan, which seems occidental letter writing, which means there's a story between the letter and a fake and forged letter at that time, which has more sense for me in logical terms of a possibility of conflict of a large scale life, for instance, more than a dark ritual in Japan that exists. That is come from England, perhaps, or has passed by in England. Because there's a factor real one. Now I have a dinner with Cristina Coutinho, and the man was also from a division of football, was the head of McCann Erickson Portugal at the time, as I gave the cup. And I said to her, you could choose the restaurant, you know him, what you like to. He was a good meal also, and he have even a cuisine on his installations of McCann at time, as she say. I never been there to see. And she chose Thailand or whatever restaurant. It was the first time that I suppose was on a Thailand restaurant in London or perhaps even anywhere. There's the invoice on the albums, or was, and I have published this on the first detailed analysis on the album, which is the region, general speaking, of the tsunami 2005. And as I gave the count, we were hitting crabs with alicate to break the grips, and this throw him on the neck, which is an idea of strangle that is still go on in suggestion terms at many levels, including aspects similar to the star of Dead on ELEM. That was one of the departed points concerning this possibility of a very old conflict on these domains of computation and 3D between Los Angeles and someone on some groups or whatever in Japan. And for me, it's clear that if something has passed through organized way by McCann, and McCann is was already a global scale advertising, and I suppose this has been passed by London just by this fact, which is real. I was on the table. I buy him on the airport tie, and I deliver to Christina, asking her if she gives to him because I fuck his tie. But this is an image of a strangler. Value of some disposal that they have already erased from my phone frames on some footage around the other tsunami 2005 film of Jane Campion, the piano. In the blood, when the man now dead that appears here with two cutted fingers on the newspaper cover, son, whatever the name, I do not remember. I'm in pain with headaches and stomach aches. At dull pains in this precisely moment. And I see for the first time this footage, and I have taken swiped some frames and disappeared, was presented to Luna, whatever, the title on this footage, where we see the blood when he cuts the finger of the lady that plays piano, throwing on the dress of the daughter. It's the same fellow that they have disposed recently, some weeks ago, that I have the care to erase from my phone as evidences, but reinforce that someone knows this, because I do not even remember to see these details on the movie of Campion at time on cinema, on big screen, which means or she has already been target of adulterations. All this is because seems the real footage, not treated in chromatic terms and étalonnage, comme on les appelle en français, c'est la réglage des niveaux de contraste lumière, etc., chrominance, qui après on voit dans les films, correct, tout ça. Ça semble à peut-être des shootings that she has not integrated on the final version, whatever. I don't know, but someone knows. This has to see with this post message of some name, if I remember well the name of this actor. As I have said on the past, I will repeat that people's in blame, because this is a dock, this is a part nearby the reparation of large sailors and so on, but private ones. There was this mark on the Macdam when they rebuilt the road there. This can't be done by hazard. It implies a system with a stick of wood or something in the kind and put and so on. And I suppose it's impossible that no one on this court and people's sailings on reparation and Buddha by side and the old fluvial station and the old electricity factory that we have the plant. No one knows this. And when I remark it seems a man that can be work on the president's Ike tall, strong as the one for his buyback is reflect on this construction veil, whatever, mumbo jumbo crime on public communication terms act by Jeswood now on the printing square of the analysis of evaluation of exams of students. I was there was a small coffee outside just for workers, people's workers on the harbor. I was there at 8 o'clock buying a coffee and eat a cake or something, and it comes a man on a motor and has been like this and goes away. The same day, the same moment that I remark, what is this? A mark of a beast. Someone has the care to do this. There must be an intention behind. And an intention that is possible to understand if it's true, a signature of a beast that is so beast that signs in this way the road, or an illusion already mounted. And for this, why you never answer the Portuguese state authorities from all these facts accounted from the time that they happen, which precisely accounts at each time, because it's different when we count things because we just remark them, and some large decades already have to return it the absence of any law answers, who also reinforce that you know very well who are the beasts behind all these. Military ID, perhaps from naval, by a conjunct of facts, and there's a particular image that I have to return again because just appears now. When Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa is taking the presidency here, we see just now, after being not anymore, walking very quickly to Belém, apparently, by day, with a man, military armed from the Navy, white dress. It was making a very strange approximation to him, side by side, entering the palace to continue the disguise, but I suppose. Why this image just appear now, after being president terrorists how many years? 2 mandates, as usual, as you do, if I remember well. 8 years, each one of you doing destruction of the world and the country. And the last time that I saw Sampaio here, as I gave the count, it was the same symbolical value like this. And he was very happy. I don't see him for large decades already. He passed on a car, 2 cars with security was working here on Regal House. I detected by a news that appears where I see him on the garden of this house. We have some particular interests from the beginning of the repudiation. And I suppose Sampaio at this time perhaps have the conscience of who was the fucker, also what they have done, and perhaps for this reason they kill him after. On the last page, I suppose this perhaps is a lie about pregnancy, but I suppose this is a lie mounted on someone that have done this in the back concerning sex lies and videotapes line. That is a very mundial line by 3 devs, as you know. Why? Because there's a video on Pornex, as all account by Match States, and I suppose they have done something with this video, and they have mounted a very, very large confusion all around the world. Then someone must be behind to do so much harm based on a lie that perhaps they have re-edited the characters on the action, can I say, in a simplistic way on this movie. There's the Orelhas of RTP that must be noted because he was on a university at that time, was the fucker that was already disposing these strangled pieces of my career or personality or whatever for this time. This was a defeat because they were doing a Pornex, Zinc and others, and based on Pacto com Laranja, a soft movie that was even aired on television, Portuguese National One, after dinner. The soft porno. Saying, this is not porno. If you want porno, put a porno. There was no porno there. And we do one if needed, and we did it. Fucking not even about sex, you never speak straight, fuckers. Of these gangsters parties here know very well the people's behind. I don't know because I never socialize with them so close and in regular terms as you know. But you are always the same groups and socializing facts and events and so on that you know it well. Then if you cover, this will be an aggravation when you are put in front of justice or on your coffin, fucker. Until 9/11, why? Because we have used masks, animal masks. I saw these masks again on Kubrick movie with Nicole. This caught my attention at that time. It seems a little bit the same universe. And there will be, in this confusion at that time, some part of this confusion with American, perhaps New York, or Los Angeles, I don't know. Someone must know all these fucking, I'm defending it as if for large years, more than years, that there's a connection between tsunamis and Nova York 2001. Now 2000, there's a changed number date on the last blade, already. I want to finish on this ability criminal to run free and change every detail in a surgical way to make mistakes and confusion on the right perception of facts. These are crimes.